Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The morning sun filters through the blinds, casting a warm, dappled light across the room. I sit at the kitchen table, scrolling through my phone. Emma's business trip has been going on for a week now. She's a successful model, and her career often takes her to different cities. I admire her drive and passion, but today, I feel restless. The idea of surprising her with a visit has been brewing in my mind for a while. The plan is simple. I'll drive to the hotel where she's staying, check in under a different name, and surprise her. It's supposed to be a romantic gesture, a spontaneous act of love. Little did I know, it would turn into a nightmare. I grab my keys, lock the door behind me, and head to the car. The drive is smooth, the anticipation growing with every mile. Emma's texts have been sparse lately, filled with vague updates and the occasional selfie. Nothing out of the ordinary, until this morning. The hotel receptionist hands me a room key, and I make my way up to her floor. As I approach the door to her suite, my heart pounds with excitement. I reach into my pocket to check the room number. It's then that I hear voices, laughter and soft, intimate murmurs. I freeze, my hand hovering over the doorknob. The sound of a man's voice catches my attention. Just like that, Emma. You're doing great. A chill runs down my spine. Emma? My wife? I glance at the door, confused and alarmed. The muffled sounds grow louder, more distinct. My instincts tell me something is terribly wrong. I push the door open slowly, the hinges creaking slightly. The room is dimly lit, a soft glow emanating from the bedside lamp. Emma is seated on a chair in the center of the room, her face flushed with a mix of excitement and pleasure. She's naked, her posture relaxed but her eyes closed in what seems to be intense concentration. Across from her stands a man I don't recognize, probably the photographer. His gaze is fixed on Emma with an intensity that makes my blood run cold. The situation becomes painfully clear, this is no ordinary photo shoot. The photographer's attention is far from professional. I take a step back, my heart racing. I'm about to retreat when Emma's eyes suddenly open. She looks directly at me, a mixture of shock and guilt flickering across her face. Josh. Her voice is a mix of surprise and apprehension. The photographer turns, his expression a mask of calm professionalism that contrasts sharply with the situation. We should stop, he says, his tone cool. Emma stands quickly, trying to cover herself. Josh, I didn't expect you. The words catch in my throat. Anger, betrayal, and a deep, visceral pain churn inside me. You didn't expect me. I manage to say, my voice trembling. Is this what you've been doing while you're on business? Emma looks away, unable to meet my gaze. It's not what it looks like. Not what it looks like. I echo incredulously. I can see exactly what it looks like. The room falls silent. The photographer takes a step back, his role evidently finished. He gathers his equipment with deliberate movements, giving us a modicum of privacy in this unbearable moment. Emma approaches me, her hands clasped in a pleading gesture. Josh, please, let me explain. Explain. I repeat, feeling the sting of each word. Explain how you've been cheating on me. How you're here with another man while you're supposed to be working. Tears well up in her eyes. I didn't mean for this to happen. It was a mistake, a lapse in judgment. I shake my head, my mind reeling. A mistake. No, Emma. This wasn't a mistake. This was deliberate. Emma's eyes fill with desperation. Josh, please. You need to understand. No, Emma, I cut her off. I don't need to understand. I need to process this, to figure out what to do next. I turn on my heel, my heart heavy with the weight of betrayal. The photographer casts a final, sympathetic glance in my direction before leaving the room. Emma remains standing there, her shoulders slumped, as if the weight of her actions has finally hit her. As I walk away from the suite, the realization settles in: I'm not just a victim of infidelity, I'm also a man betrayed by someone I thought I knew inside and out. The pain is sharp, but it's the resolve to confront this head-on that propels me forward. I leave the hotel and head back to my car, the drive home feeling endless. This wasn't just a business trip. This was the beginning of a journey, one where I'll have to reckon with Emma's betrayal and decide how to move forward. The drive back home feels like a blur. My mind races with thoughts of Emma and the photographer, the room, and what I've just witnessed. I need answers, clarity, and a plan. But before that, I need to deal with the immediate fallout. I arrive home in the early evening, the sky a bruised purple as the sun sets. I pace around the living room, trying to calm the storm inside me. My phone buzzes with notifications, but I ignore them. I'm waiting for the right moment to confront Emma again. The doorbell rings, startling me. I glance at the clock, 7:30 p.m. Who could it be at this hour? I open the door to find my friend and colleague, Jason, standing there with a concerned look on his face. "Josh, I've been trying to reach you all day. What's going on?" Jason steps inside, his eyes scanning the disheveled state of my home. I shake my head. "It's Emma. She's been cheating on me." Jason's eyebrows shoot up. "What? Are you serious? How do you know?" I recount the events of the day, my voice raw as I explain everything, from the unexpected discovery to the confrontation. Jason listens intently, his expression a mix of shock and sympathy. "That's rough, man," he says finally. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet," I admit. "But I need to figure it out. I need to know more about this photographer, about who else might be involved." Jason nods. "Okay, I can help with that. Let's start by finding out who this guy is. What's his name?" Emma mentioned him briefly before, but she never gave me details. All I know is that he's a photographer and that he works with models. Jason pulls out his phone and starts typing furiously. "I'll dig into it. In the meantime, why don't you try to get some rest? We'll need to approach this methodically." I appreciate the gesture but shake my head. I can't rest until I know more. I need to confront Emma again. She's still at the hotel, and I want answers directly from her. "All right," Jason says. "Let's go together. Two heads are better than one, and I can help keep things from getting too out of hand." We head back to the hotel. The atmosphere feels heavy, and I'm filled with a mixture of dread and determination. Jason and I enter the lobby, and I approach the front desk. "Excuse me," I say to the receptionist, "I need to get into Emma's room." The receptionist looks at me skeptically. "I'm sorry, sir, but we can't give out room information without the guest's permission." I try to stay calm. "Look, this is a personal matter. I'm her husband. I need to see her." The receptionist hesitates, then glances at Jason, who stands beside me with a reassuring nod. Finally, she picks up the phone and makes a call. After a tense few minutes, she hangs up and gives me a small, reluctant nod. "You can go up," she says, "but please try to resolve this quietly." Jason and I take the elevator up to Emma's floor. I can feel the tension between us, a tangible sense of anticipation. We reach her door, and I knock firmly. "Emma, it's me," I call out. "We need to talk." A moment of silence follows, then the door opens slightly. Emma's face appears, her eyes red and puffy. She steps back, allowing us to enter. "Josh, she begins, but her voice falters when she sees Jason. "This is my friend, Jason, I say curtly. He's here to help me get some answers. Emma's shoulders slump. I understand. What do you want to know? I cross my arms, trying to control the anger in my voice. I want to know everything about this photographer. Who is he? How long has this been going on? Emma's eyes dart around nervously. His name is Mark Sanders. He's a well-known photographer in the industry. We met through work, and things just happened. Just happened? Jason interjects, his tone skeptical. It sounds like this was more than a one-time mistake. Emma's face flushes with embarrassment. It started as a flirtation, and then it escalated. I didn't mean for it to get so out of hand. I feel a pang of betrayal. And the photographer? Did he ever make you feel uncomfortable, or was he always this involved? Emma hesitates. He was professional at first, but things changed. He made advances, and I didn't know how to stop it. Jason looks at me, his expression unreadable. It's clear that this situation is a lot more complex than just a lapse in judgment. But we need to figure out our next steps. Emma nods, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, Josh. I never meant to hurt you. I take a deep breath, struggling to keep my emotions in check. I need time to process this. But know this, I'm not going to let this go until I have answers. Jason puts a hand on my shoulder. We'll get through this, man. One step at a time. As we leave the hotel, I feel a strange sense of resolve. The betrayal is raw, but I'm determined to uncover the full truth and hold those responsible accountable. The path ahead is uncertain, but I know one thing for sure. Emma's actions have set in motion a chain of events that will change everything. We drive back in silence, the weight of the day hanging heavily over us. I know that the journey is far from over, and the real challenge lies in what comes next. The next morning arrives too soon, the sky a dull gray that seems to mirror my mood. Jason and I have agreed to meet early to continue our search for answers. As I sit at the kitchen table, sipping a cup of coffee, my mind is a chaotic swirl of anger and confusion. The taste of betrayal is bitter on my tongue, and I'm desperate for any shred of clarity. Jason arrives promptly at 8 a.m., his face a mask of determination. He holds a stack of papers and a laptop bag. I did some digging last night, he says as he steps inside. I've got some information that might help us understand this whole situation better. I nod, grateful for his support. Thanks, Jason. I need all the help I can get. We sit at the dining table, Jason pulling out the laptop and opening a series of browser tabs. All right, here's what I've got. Mark Sanders isn't just a photographer, he's a major player in the fashion industry. He's had several high-profile clients, and there's a lot of gossip about him. Most of it isn't flattering. I lean in, trying to absorb the information. What kind of gossip? Jason scrolls through the articles. There are rumors about him being overly aggressive with models, pressuring them into compromising situations. Nothing concrete, but it's enough to raise red flags. He's known for pushing boundaries, and it seems like he's got a reputation for crossing lines. My stomach churns. So, it sounds like Emma might not be the only one who's been affected by him. Exactly, Jason says. I also found some social media posts from models who've worked with him. They talk about his unprofessional behavior and how he manipulates situations to get what he wants. I take a deep breath, trying to steady myself. We need to confront him. Find out exactly what his involvement was and how much he knew about Emma's situation. Jason nods in agreement. I can help with that. I've got a few contacts in the industry who might know more about Sanders. Let's see if we can track him down. We spend the next few hours making calls and sending emails. Jason's connections provide some leads, and we eventually get an address for Mark Sanders. It's a studio in a somewhat sketchy part of town, known for its late hours and discreet operations. By early afternoon, we're on our way to the studio. The area is industrial, with warehouses and rundown buildings lining the streets. The studio itself is a nondescript building, its exterior plain and uninviting. We park across the street and approach the entrance, a small door with a faded sign that reads, Sanders Photography. The building looks deserted, but we can hear faint noises from inside, footsteps, distant chatter. Jason and I exchange a determined look. Let's go, I say. We enter the studio, the interior surprisingly modern with high ceilings and large windows. A receptionist sits behind a desk, her expression one of boredom. Hi, we're here to see Mark Sanders, Jason says, trying to sound casual. The receptionist glances up, her eyes narrowing. He's not available right now. He has a shoot scheduled. I can't hide my frustration. It's important. We need to speak with him. She hesitates, then picks up the phone. After a brief conversation, she hangs up and nods. You can wait in the lounge. I'll see if he can spare a few minutes. We follow her down a narrow hallway to a small, dimly lit lounge area. The walls are adorned with high-fashion photographs, each image more provocative than the last. Jason and I sit in silence, the tension between us palpable. After what feels like an eternity, Mark Sanders finally walks in. He's a tall man with a slicked-back hairstyle and an air of arrogance. He scans the room, his gaze settling on us. Gentlemen, he says, his voice smooth but carrying an edge. What brings you here? I step forward. Mark Sanders. I'm Josh, and this is Jason. We need to talk about Emma Sinclair and your involvement with her. Sanders raises an eyebrow, a smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. Emma Sinclair. I remember her. What's this about? Jason jumps in. We know about your reputation and the kind of pressure you apply to models. We want to know the full extent of your relationship with Emma. Sanders leans back, crossing his arms. Emma was a client. We had a professional arrangement, and anything beyond that was consensual. I don't see how that's any of your business. I feel a surge of anger. Consensual. You were clearly more than just professional with her. And now we're trying to understand what really happened. Sanders narrows his eyes. I think you're getting the wrong impression. Emma made choices, and I simply documented them. Jason steps forward, his voice firm. We're not here to make accusations without evidence, but we need to understand the dynamics. If you have any information, now is the time to share it. Sanders' demeanor shifts slightly, a flicker of unease crossing his face. Look, I have nothing more to say. If Emma made decisions, that's on her. I run a business, and that's all there is to it. With that, Sanders turns and walks away, leaving us with more questions than answers. Jason and I exchange frustrated glances. Well, that was enlightening, Jason says dryly. Not really. I nod, my frustration palpable. We need to dig deeper. There has to be more to this. Let's keep looking, talk to more people in the industry, and see if we can uncover something concrete. Jason agrees, and we leave the studio, our minds buzzing with the implications of what we've learned. The quest for truth is far from over, and the road ahead promises to be both challenging and revealing. The days following our visit to Mark Sanders' studio are a whirlwind of activity. Jason and I continue to dig into Emma's past and Mark's connections, but each lead seems to hit a dead end. My frustration grows with each passing hour, and the weight of betrayal hangs heavily over me. Then, just as I'm starting to lose hope, Jason gets a promising lead. One of his industry contacts has provided us with a tip about an upcoming charity gala that Emma and Mark will both be attending. This gala is known for its high-profile guests and lavish parties, and it might offer the opportunity to gather more information. Josh, this could be our chance, Jason says as we sit in my living room, reviewing the details. If Emma and Sanders are both going to be there, we might finally get some answers. I nod, feeling a surge of determination. Let's do it. I want to confront them both. The evening of the gala arrives, and Jason and I are dressed in our finest. The venue is a grand ballroom, with elegant decorations and a sea of glittering guests. We blend in with the crowd, our eyes scanning for Emma and Mark. After mingling for a while, I spot Emma across the room, her dress shimmering under the lights. She's laughing and chatting with a group of people, seemingly at ease. Mark Sanders is nearby, engaged in a conversation with a prominent fashion designer. Jason and I exchange a look. It's now or never, he says. We make our way over to Emma, who sees us approaching and her smile falters. She looks between me and Jason, her face betraying a mix of guilt and apprehension. Josh, Emma says, trying to sound casual. What are you doing here? We need to talk, I say, my voice firm. I've been trying to understand what's really been going on. We need answers. Emma glances around, clearly uncomfortable. Not here, Josh. This is a public event. Mark Sanders, noticing our confrontation, steps forward with an air of arrogance. Is there a problem here? I look at him, my anger barely contained. Yes, there is. We need to discuss what happened between you, Emma, and me. Sanders' eyes narrow, but he keeps his composure. We're at a charity event. This isn't the place for personal disputes. Emma looks at me pleadingly. Please, let's just talk somewhere private. I can explain everything. I nod reluctantly, and we move to a quieter corner of the ballroom, away from prying eyes. Emma, Jason, and I huddle together, the tension palpable. All right, Emma begins, her voice trembling. I owe you an explanation. Mark and I, what happened between us wasn't just about the photo shoots. I was manipulated. Mark promised me career advancement, and when I felt trapped, I didn't know how to get out. I stare at her, trying to process her words. So, you're saying you were coerced? Emma nods, tears in her eyes. In a way. I got caught up in a situation where I felt powerless. I'm so sorry, Josh. I never meant for this to hurt you. Jason looks at Mark. And you, Sanders? What's your role in all this? Mark's face darkens, and he takes a deep breath. I'm a businessman. I use my influence to get what I want. If Emma got caught in that web, it wasn't my problem. The coldness in his voice is chilling. You're just going to brush it off like that? Mark shrugs. Everyone makes their choices. Emma made hers, and now she has to live with them. I feel a surge of betrayal and anger. So, you're admitting you used your power to exploit her? Mark's expression is unreadable. You can see it however you want. I'm not responsible for the decisions people make. I turn to Emma, my heart heavy. So this was never just a mistake. It was manipulation and exploitation. Emma's face is a mask of sorrow. I didn't know how to stop it. I got caught up in it all, and now I'm paying the price. Jason puts a hand on my shoulder. Josh, this is a lot to take in. But we need to decide what to do next. I take a deep breath, struggling to keep my emotions in check. I've made my decision. Emma, we're done. I can't be with someone who's been involved in this kind of situation. Emma's eyes well up with tears. Josh, please, don't. I know I've made mistakes, but we can work through this. No, Emma, I say, my voice steady. This is too much. I can't move past this. Mark smirks, his expression almost triumphant. Seems like everything's falling apart for you, Emma. I turn away, feeling the finality of the situation. I'm done with Emma and with the deception that has come to light. Jason and I leave the gala, the weight of the evening settling heavily on my shoulders. As we walk to the car, Jason glances at me. Are you okay? I'm not sure, I admit. But I know I've made the right decision. The road home feels long, and the silence between Jason and me is a testament to the emotional toll of the night. The truth has been revealed, and with it, the end of a chapter that has been filled with betrayal and heartache. In the days that follow, Emma and I go our separate ways. The love we once shared is overshadowed by the deception and manipulation that have come to light. Mark Sanders continues his career, seemingly unscathed, while Emma faces the consequences of her choices. As for me, I'm left to rebuild and reflect on the experiences that have reshaped my life. The story of betrayal has reached its conclusion, and while the pain is still fresh, there's a sense of closure. The journey has been arduous, but it has brought clarity and a new beginning.